thing is that, as you've already mentioned, there's this connection between the brain and the gut. And we used to think it was a pretty much one-way street, where when the brain was inflamed, we would think that it would send a signal through the vagus nerve and through other mechanisms to tell our gut to slow down. And if you read any kind of historical journal on migraine in the gut, it's going to talk about gut stasis. What we mean is the gut doesn't move food the way it's supposed to, or move products through the gut during an acute migraine. And as you can imagine, this complicates things because it causes medicines to not be absorbed as well, and it causes our patients to feel unwell when that occurs. But on top of that, we know that when someone has an acute migraine attack, the gut becomes inflamed on its own, and those same inflammatory markers can then propagate or irritate the lining of the brain also. In addition to this, we know that the inflammatory peptides from the gut, the proteins that get inflamed and irritated, are released at higher levels. And some of the same medicines we use for treating the brain in migraine, some of these CGRP targeted medicines, which many of the people listening in are familiar with, those also affect our gut. And the same inflammatory protein that those medicines target, those CGRP targeted medicines, can influence what happens within our gut in a positive or negative way. There's actually this really cool research study that showed that if you have increased inflammatory CGRP in the gut, it can sensitize the nerves on the surface of the brain and make someone more prone to be not only active against a pain response, but makes your body more sensitive to different foods that are within the stomach or within your intestines.
Wow, this is just very interesting information. And I think what you're saying is it's bidirectional then, that the migraine can cause gut issues, but also gut issues can cause migraine. Is that right?
Blenny, thanks for getting me back on point. I took a left turn there. Yeah, so that's exactly the thing. The brain tells the gut to slow down, and the brain signals the gut to have some of these responses that I was referring to. But 80% of the signaling of the vagus nerve goes from the gut up into the brain. And it's not just a nerve impulse that goes that way. We know that if you tag a specific neurochemistry marker, something called a GABA cell, and if you tag this GABA molecule, you can watch it go from the stomach through the vagus nerve all the way up, not just to the brain, but to the deep portions of the brain that control our response to weather sensitivity, our stress response, our sleep response. And again, most of the signaling goes from the gut up into the brain, more so than brain down into the gut. And when our bodies were developing, when someone's in utero, as your body's becoming what it's supposed to be, there's one set of nervous system tissue, and part of it turns into the brain, but the other part turns into the gut nervous system, and they're all one unit. And this two-way street is part of why there's such a big connection between these two parts of our body.